So, welcome to the night watch. It's pretty dark out, and everything in the background is on night mode. All the boys have gone to sleep. The captain just finished his watch from 9 till 12, and my watch begins at midnight and goes till 3. So, this is actually my second night watch. I got to catch you guys up on the last sort of 30 hours of activities, not 30, but maybe about 28 hours of activities, because I wasn't able to do any videotaping last night. So I think last we would have left you guys, Pepe would have gone up the mast to repair the halyard line. And shortly after that, sunset, we sat down for dinner. As we were sitting down for dinner, just after dinner actually, we heard a loud alarm coming through the helm on the second floor. We ran upstairs and we were getting an alarm from the engine shutting the shutdown alarm. At the same time, the captain shut off the alarm. We also noticed that we had lost complete rudder control. So we had no rudder. We had to shut down one of the engines. And then what happened is the boat just went into a mad spin. So we're going north-northeast, and it just literally started aggressively turning right. So we went up, and it turned right, and did a complete loop. And then we went up, and then it turned right, and did a complete loop. I was looking outside the port window at the back of the ship, and I was able to see Anguilla in the background just coming once around and twice around. And before we ventured into our third turn, Antonino noticed that something was wrong in the back, and all of a sudden there was a loud explosion, bang, and followed by like a loud whistle. It was just a loud noise, so he screamed, "Quickly, turn off the other engine!" So we turned off now the port engine, and we were just sitting there to stop the spin. The explosion was quite loud. It sounded kind of like a gunshot sound that went off, and by the time we were able to sort of gather our bearings and see what took place, we noticed that the life raft was ejected, and that was a loud boom sound that ejected it. And then the loud compression sound was it inflating. So, yeah, kind of crazy. So it's probably 9 now at night. No rudders. One engine's off. And this crazy raft is sitting in the middle of the ocean, just deployed. And we can see the shell of it is on one side, and then another piece is further down the water. We had absolutely no idea what was going on. We turned on some lights, and at that moment, just off the back sugar scoop on the starboard side, we noticed that we snagged what seemed to be 3 pods of fishing mooring balls. So these are balls that stick out of the water. They're about the size of a volleyball. And they're made out of foam, and tied to them is a line going down to essentially a fishing pod underwater where they fish for, I guess crab or lobster or some sort of fish that's caught in a trap below. Now, with our luck, with the amount of ocean around us, we go and hit 3 of these fishing pods. So the captain was trying to keep the boat somewhat on a constant course and not spinning around. And Pepe quickly put on a harness and jumped into the water, and noticed that the fishing line was pretty badly wrapped around the rudder, hence why we didn't have rudder control. And then it further went after the rudder and spun itself off around the shaft of the starboard engine. So we had to get Antonino in the water as well, because somebody had to hold them both in with the lifelines. We had no winches around at the time, so we basically tied a man line to one of my hands to Pepe and over to the other side, to Antonino to the other side, holding him in. And so Antonino needed to hold the flashlight underwater and the knife while Pepe kind of maneuvered the wire and the rope, outside of the prop and outside of the shaft. So this took about a good sort of 15 minutes of a breath and go underwater, do some repairs, another breath, go underwater. But at the end of the day, the good news is we got it fixed. Pepe was able to free the rudder quite quickly, and then it took a little longer to free the prop. Now, thank God, either we caught it on time or it didn't do the damage that it normally does. But the propeller was safe. The shaft was not bent and affected. And yeah, we regained engine power and we regained rudder control, so we were able to steer the boat. The challenge now is we have this life raft deployed and in the middle of the ocean. And what we think happened is as we hit the pod, we hooked the first pod, we hooked the second and the third pod, and as we spun around, the pod, because it got hooked onto the rudder, the line was high, and as it came around through the center of the two hulls, so on a cat, you have the two hulls, and in the center, you have this emergency sort of hole where the life raft sits. And what we think happened is as the line sort of snuck around first or second time, it hit the bottom of the life raft, and it actually opened up the emergency hatch, and that caused it to come out. And as soon as it came out, it hit the water and it exploded, and it did actually what it's supposed to do. It inflated and stayed inflated. Now, the challenge with a 10-man raft is it's actually quite large and quite heavy. We attempted to bring it on board and put it on the davit that holds the tender, but it was impossible. I mean, we pulled as hard as we could, and we couldn't get it on there. There was also this bag, what looked like had first aid supplies and food and maybe flares and stuff like that. We tried to save that bag, but it was just impossible. It must have weighed like 200 pounds to try to get it onto the boat. Was just impossible. So captain made the orders to jettison the raft and cut it loose. Now we don't know what will happen because those rafts are registered to the vessel, and is the Coast Guard going to be out there looking for souls that are not on the vessel? Anyways, long and story short, nothing we could have done. We figured that by morning it'll probably end up on a beach somewhere, and so that's yesterday. So it would have been great to have picked up a camera and videotaped some of it, but as you can imagine, probably not the best time to be doing paparazzi video work as that happened. Quickly today, let me fill you in on kind of what the watch looks like and what we do. So in front of me, you see radar. And we usually keep watch on radar for about 6 to 8 miles, sometimes 12 miles. You'll notice tonight there is absolutely, if you zoom out to a 36-mile range, nobody in radar. So we are the only ship in the middle of the ocean within 36 square miles. So pretty much what we're doing at night is we're keeping a watch on radar. We're also keeping a watch on winds. We do have the mainsail up, and if the wind right now is coming out of the southwest and sort of pushing onto our back, so we do have the mainsail up. The Genoa is furled right now. There isn't enough wind. You'll see that there's actual wind speed is 6.1 knots, so not enough wind to really fly any sort of sail. We are keeping the mainsail up for really balance and control of the boat. When you have this big mast, as you go through and over waves, it kind of acts as a bit of a shock absorber to provide a bit of a cushion to the movement. So, yeah, So nothing too crazy. And we will talk to you guys probably tomorrow. Ciao.